Let me ask you something. What if everything you think you know about time is wrong? What if the future isn't some distant thing you have to build, piece by piece? What if it already exists, just waiting for you to tune in? So in this explainer, we're going to unpack a pretty radical idea. We're going to talk about attraction, but not as magic or some kind of wishful thinking. No, we're looking at it as a mechanical process, a physical phenomenon, and it all starts by completely rethinking time itself.
You know that belief we all have, that we have to struggle and grind and work incredibly hard to create the future we want? Well, think of that as an old, outdated operating system. It's based on a model of reality that we're about to upgrade.
Okay, so here's where we really flip the script. We're moving from what you could call the river model of time, the idea that it flows in one straight line from past to future, cause and effect, to the map model. And in this new model, the past, the present, and the future, they all exist at the same time, like different places on a giant map. Think about it like Google Maps. Just because you're sitting in Tokyo right now, that doesn't mean New York doesn't exist, right? It's there. It's a fixed point on the map. This model suggests our future works the exact same way. That version of you with the successful company, the happy family, that reality already exists as a destination on the map. And what's wild is that this map contains countless potential destinations. A future where you achieve everything you've ever wanted and a future filled with anxiety, they're both equally real, pre-existing data points. So the game isn't about creating your future, it's about selecting it based on your current settings.
So if all these futures are already out there, how on earth do you choose one? Well, the mechanism isn't magic, it's physics, and it's a specific principle called resonance.
Now, resonance is a fundamental part of our universe. It's when one thing's vibration makes another thing vibrate at the same rate. You've seen this, right? A singer hits a super specific note, and a wine glass across the room starts to shake and then shatters. That's resonance. That's the core mechanism we're talking about here.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Think of your consciousness as a kind of radio tuner. And the dial that you use to find the station, well, that's your emotional state. Every single emotion you have is vibrating, broadcasting on a very specific frequency.
The implication here is just huge. If you are constantly broadcasting the frequency of anxiety, your reality is going to tune into the station that matches it. You're going to experience an anxious future. But if you can tune your emotional dial to excitement or fulfillment, you lock onto the broadcast coming from that successful future.
And this is the real game changer. The heavy lifting is already done. The future you want, that radio station, is already broadcasting its signal, loud and clear. Your only job isn't to build a station from the ground up. It's simply to tune your own receiver to its frequency.
All right, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually do it? How do we deliberately turn that dial and lock on to our desired station? Well, that brings us to the user manual. The technique is called backcasting.
I want you to think about how a car's GPS works. What's the very first thing you do? You put in the final destination. You don't sit there and try to map out every single turn. You just set the destination, and the system calculates the best route for you automatically. Backcasting applies this exact same logic to your life.
The process is basically 3 steps. First, you have to define your destination with absolute clarity. Second, and this part is crucial, you state it in the past tense, as if it's already a memory. Not, I will be successful, but it was amazing when I became successful. Third, and this is the real secret sauce, you have to feel the emotions of that achievement right now.
So why on earth does this work? Well, it all comes down to a fascinating quirk of neuroscience. Your brain, it turns out, can't really tell the difference between a real memory and a vividly imagined experience. So when you generate a powerful emotion connected to a future event, your brain actually logs it as a real memory.
So by creating what you could call a future memory, you're essentially reprogramming your internal GPS. Your brain, which now believes this future is a done deal, starts to automatically filter your reality. It starts pointing out the people, the opportunities, the exact actions that will form the path to get you there. The whole process becomes almost automatic.
So, let's bring this all together. What's the big takeaway here? This isn't just a cool new technique. It's a completely new relationship with the future, with time itself.
See, the old model, the old OS, sees the future as some distant shore we have to struggle towards, fighting the current the whole way. But that operating system, it's officially obsolete.
Here's the new paradigm.
Your desired future is already finished. It's complete. The version of you who already has everything you want is, in a very real sense, already there, waving back at you from the finish line. Your job isn't to build the path forward, it's to remember the path that leads back from that destination. It's to align with it.
So, if this model is true, then maybe the most important work you can do isn't about grinding or hustling. Maybe it's about frequency management, about cultivating the feeling of success right here, right now. And that leaves us with a pretty mind-bending question. Could your high-frequency emotional state be the warp drive to your destination, the fastest possible route on the map of time? The physics of resonance suggests it just might be.